Welcome back to another Adventure News Flash update. Today we're talking about CFMoto's 450 MT. If I was basing excitement for a motorcycle off my comments section, this would be top of the list at the moment. So many people have messaged me asking me about this bike and how excited they are. So let's see if the 450 MT and its specifications live up to everybody's expectations. So this video is more of an initial reaction, just getting my first thoughts, my first impressions. I'll give a more well thought out piece and a summary in Adventure News at the end of the month. So the specifications are as follows. We've got a 450cc parallel twin motor, which is a 270-degree crank. Love to see that, especially in the small displacement market. We don't get to see that very often. We're making 44 horsepower and 44 Newton meters of torque, which is pretty much the industry standard for this size motorcycle in the adventure category. It also means that in license graded countries like here in Australia and Europe, this will be learner legal. We've got a 6-speed gearbox, and another thing that people are getting excited about is that 175 kilo dry weight. Now, I do need to point out here that when you put all the fluids in this bike, it's probably going to run you just north of 190 kilos. Puts it right in the range of the Honda CBX 500 or the NX 500 as it's now called, but more on that in another video. So suspension is KYB. You've got 200 millimeters of travel on the front and the back. The front has compression and rebound adjustment, and the rear shock is fully adjustable. Now that adjustability is also a real nice to have, as this is something you not often see in this segment of the market. This bike will have switchable ABS. You'll be able to switch off the ABS on the rear of the bike when you hit the dirt. You've also got traction control, which you will be able to disable as well when you hit the off-road segments. Let's get to the wheels, and I'm happy to say 21-inch, 18-inch wheel setup. So this is definitely something that will set it apart in the small capacity adventure world, because most of the bikes it's competing against have the 1917 wheel combos. They're spoke, of course, so it's fantastic to see. Seat height on the 450 MT is pretty decent as well, at 820 millimeters for the standard setting and 800 millimeters for the low setting. So I think that will keep most people happy. Even the shorties should be able to get a foot down on this bike. Fuel capacity is 17.5 liters. That's a decent amount of fuel considering it's only a 450 motor. So the fuel range on this bike should be significant. The other thing that jumped out to me were the brakes. This only has a single front disc. I would have liked to have seen, for a bike that weighs this much at 190 plus kilos fully fueled, that it would have twin front discs, but maybe it will be fine because it does have that 4-piston front caliper. Pricing, of course, has not been announced, so we can't ascertain how much value you will be getting with this motorcycle, but I'd say it's a safe bet that this will be a very affordable bike. The standout features to me are, one, that motor. 270-degree crankshaft is very important to me personally. I love the sound of that type of motor. It helps me emotionally connect to the bike. That engine, I think, is really going to put it over the line for a lot of people because it's going to sound great. It's going to perform well off-road and on-road because of that firing order. It's going to have some nice torquey characteristics to it. The other thing is that 21-18 wheel combo. The Royal Enfield Himalayan 450 also has this setup, but a lot of bikes in this segment have the 1917 wheel combos. So that's a really nice feature that the 450 MT has. And of course, the Himalayan has a singles. This is going to be much smoother. So if you're wanting to skew more adventure bike, this might be the way to head. The other standouts that are not so great is, of course, this is CFMoto, so that means it's coming out of China. For a lot of people, that is going to be a non-negotiable, as quality is still a question mark with some manufacturers. Will it stand up to the abuse off-road? The other thing is that single front disc. So will that be enough to stop 190 plus kilos with you on the bike and your gear? And of course, the last thing with all new motorcycles that I always have to point out is long-term reliability. How's it going to be in a year or two? What is it going to be like getting parts and interacting with the company to get those parts? I would have liked to have seen this bike a little bit lighter. I'm going to say that about 99% of the bikes that I talk about. At roughly 190 kilos fully fueled, probably a bit more. I would have liked to have seen this get closer to the KTM 390. Now, yes, that has one less cylinder, so that accounts for a lot of the weight savings, but I really think companies need to focus in on shaving that weight. That will jack up the price, but someone needs to do it. The market is asking for that ultra lightweight parallel twin adventure bike in the small capacity segment, a high performance one. And I think that's why so many people are disappointed that KTM canned the 490 Adventure. Now that is a rumor going around and I cannot confirm that. A lot of people have been asking, hey Solid, I've heard this rumor that this 450 was the intended motor for the KTM 490 Adventure. KTM have said nothing about it and there's no source that can 100% guarantee that that is the case. But if you join the dots, it is definitely a question mark because KTM and CFMoto do have a production agreement. They've shared engines and technology in the past. So I think there is a strong argument that this motor might have been what would have ended up in the KTM 490 Adventure. Will you be putting this on your list or will you not? Let me know why. Put your thoughts down below. As always, don't forget to stay shiny side up and I'll see you in the next one.